This is GBH's All Things Considered. I'm Arun Roth. For the last 3 decades, scientists have been studying ways to inhibit a particular receptor that's overly active in breast, ovarian, and prostate cancers, among others. Researchers have made significant advancements, including the finding that some viral insulins may be able to do just that. The greater Boston area is renowned for its medical advancements and innovative technologies, and we have an excellent example of this today on All Things Considered. One of the leaders of this game-changing research on cancer treatments is Boston College Assistant Professor of Biology, Emrah Altindis. He and his lab have been just awarded a 5-year, $2.5 million grant from the National Institute of Health to study these viral insulins and the future of cancer treatment. We're lucky to be joined by Emrah today to discuss these game-changing advancements. Emrah, thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you so much, Aaron. It's a great pleasure to be with you.
And congratulations on the grant.
Thank you so much. We are so grateful.
So this is incredibly fascinating and also incredibly complicated. So we're going to have to start very basic for people like me who didn't even know that viral insulins were a thing. Now, people tend to think of insulin, say, for insulin-dependent diabetics who aren't able to produce it themselves, but there are different kinds of insulin and some produced by viruses. So start off there.
Yeah, let's start with some basics. I think that insulin is the most famous hormone, and many people have heard about the name, but the function is not that clear. So insulin is a small protein that is produced by your beta cells, and it mainly regulates your energy metabolism. It regulates your protein, lipid, and glucose metabolism. And there's also a similar hormone called insulin-like growth factor 1, or IGF-1, and it regulates proliferation of the cells, survival, and growth of the cells. So these two hormones are acting through two receptors called insulin receptor, or IGF-1 receptor, and they can also bind each other's receptors, but they are regulating different functions. All of your cells in your body have both of these receptors, insulin receptor and IGF-1 receptor.
And when was it discovered that viruses produce insulin?
So in the US now, we have more than 37 million diabetes patients. And these 9 million of these people needs daily insulin injections. So viruses, on the other hand, are the most abundant biological entity in the world, and they really exhibit a vast biodiversity. You have been hearing about RNA viruses, DNA viruses, so SARS-CoV-2 was an RNA virus. Herpes, pox viruses are DNA viruses, but what we know about viruses is really the tip of the iceberg. So currently we have around 12,000 viral genomes available, but researchers predict that there are at least 320,000 mammalian viruses, just mammalian viruses. This doesn't include other animals viruses or plant viruses. They are waiting to be discovered. So what we truly know about viruses is really the tip of the iceberg. So the viruses are known to mimic very important growth hormones and also immune system related proteins, but no one has never thought that they might be mimicking our hormones. So in 2014, I started my second postdoc at Joslin Diabetes Center in Ronald Kahn's lab, and I didn't know anything about diabetes. So I was a microbiologist, a new fellow in the program, and I went to a talk about type 1 diabetes, and I learned that insulin is really at the very core of this disease. Insulin producing cells are specifically targeted by immune system, and they are killed. So with this new information, as a microbiologist, I thought that there might be some microbes in the world with an insulin-like protein, and they might infect us. And as a result of this infection, we might have an immune response against this microbial insulin. And this immune response might cross-react with human insulin and cause type 1 diabetes. I had this idea during the talk, and I started to look for microbial insulin. So I went to my office and started to use some bioinformatics tools to look for all known microbial genomes. We were very surprised to see that there were three viruses at that time in 2014, and currently we have six different viruses that have insulin-like genes. They are 30% to 50% identical to human insulin and human IGF-1. And we were so excited about the discovery. So this is how discovery happened several years ago. And this is how all stories started.
And we're covering so much ground here, but can you go ahead and then bridge that to how this ends up being useful potentially in cancer treatment?
Yeah, so we chemically synthesize these viral insulins to prove that they are real ligands, they are real proteins that can bind to human insulin receptor and human IGF-1 receptor, and tested them in cellular models in the lab, but also using some animal models as well. We proved that these viral insulins can bind to human insulin receptor and human IGF-1 receptor. So this is the first step of receptor activation or activation of this pathway. And they can stimulate these signaling pathways and act like insulin and IGF-1. However, we had a very surprising finding as well for two of the six viral insulins. So two of them can bind to human IGF-1 receptor. They can also bind to the insulin receptor as well, but they inhibit the activity of IGF-1 receptor. They are evolved to inhibit this receptor, and this was quite unique because cancer researchers have been trying to identify either monoclonal antibodies or some inhibitors to specifically target IGF-1 receptor, but they were not able to do it because anything that binds to IGF-1 receptor also cross-reacted with insulin receptor, but it looks like viruses co-evolved with us for millions of years. They identified a mechanism to specifically target IGF-1 receptor. So why is this interesting? As you said, Arun, in the introduction, in breast cancer, ovarian cancer, prostate cancer, IGF-1 receptor levels are increased. So if we can target this pathway with the other therapies, we can decrease or stop the proliferation of the cancer cells, and we can also inhibit their proliferation. So this is why we are so excited about this discovery coming from viruses and a potential translation to cancer research.
It's very exciting, and exciting you got this grant now to be able to pursue this work more intensely. You'll have to come back soon to tell us how it's going. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you so much. It was a great pleasure for me to be with you.
That's Emrah Altindis, researcher and assistant professor of biology at Boston College. This is GBH's All Things Considered.